Hi, I'm Tracy from Nurture Yoga and Massage, and we're actually here in the studio today, and we're going to practice body scan and several Yin Yoga poses. And so we like to practice Yin after some of our heated poses, our hot yoga poses, or our hot yoga classes, because it helps us get into the connective tissue. So the longer we stay, the deeper we can release, because we give adequate time to actually allow the muscles to transfer into the more dense tissue. And so let's allow ourselves to ground by sitting tall on our spine. And we're going to imagine as though there is a string attached to the crown of the head and it's drawing us upwards. And we're going to balance the head over the shoulders by keeping the chin parallel to the earth below. And then we're going to allow the shoulders to draw back slightly so that the heart is open and that the shoulders are aligned over the pelvis. And if you feel inclined, you can let your eyes soften and rest, or you can find a gazing point somewhere out in front of you on your mat or on the carpet or the floor. And if you're practicing today to be on the receiving end of your practice, opening up to the benefits of yoga, relax the backs of the hands to the knees. And if you feel like you're more looking for grounding in your yoga practices, we'll bring our palms down to the knees, palms facing down. And as we continue to lengthen through the crown of the head, we're going to create some space here for our side ribs and our lungs to fully expand, both on the in-breath and the out-breath. And so we'll allow ourselves to scan the body for any residual tension or tightness, moving from the crown of the head all the way down to the feet. And as we start with the crown of our head, we'll allow ourselves to relax all of the muscles of the face. And if you feel inclined, you can relax the muscles one by tensing and then releasing them, or just breathing into the areas that resist you and using the exhalation to relax and to resist any tension. And then we'll channel relaxation through the neck and the shoulders by making sure that the shoulders are moving back and down your spine. And we want to create some space from the ear to the shoulder so that the ears are not signaling stress or tension in the body. And if you find that difficult, draw the shoulders up and then drop them down a few times for shoulder shrugs. And then we're going to breathe down into the level of the heart, releasing any holding around the tissues of the heart. And we'll breathe down into our diaphragm, so imagining this dome-shaped organ and tendon here situated at the lower part of your rib cage. And when you breathe into it, you're going to feel the expansion outward as though you're inflating a balloon. Focusing on both the inhale and the exhale today. And we'll expand through the side ribs and lungs. As we move down our body, or down our torso, we're relaxing energetically the internal abdominal muscles and the tops of the thighs and the backs of the knees. We'll relax the kneecaps, the shins, and we'll find ourselves situated over the earth, grounded, stable, and still. And in yoga, we like to set an intention for our practice. Sometimes our intention could be a sankalpa or something we're working to resolve or bring our awareness to in yoga. Sometimes it's a thought or a word or a phrase, something inspiring, something for yourself. And once you've chosen your personal intention for your practice, I recommend bringing it into the space between your eyebrows, our third eye here. So this is our inner intuition. And in this moment, we'll allow ourselves to resonate on our intention, our personal reason for showing up today on the mat. And we'll mentally repeat it to ourselves 3 times so that we can seal it into our subconscious mind. And allow your eyes to flutter back to where you are in the room. And we're going to bring the soles of our feet together in a bind for bound angle. And we're going to make sure that if we feel that the knees are higher than the hips, that we actually pad our seat by bringing a blanket to our backside. And as you sit on your blanket, making sure your buttocks flesh is turning upwards towards the ceiling or the sky by rotating it back and up. And we'll take a look at where our feet are today as the toes press together, as the heels and the toe ball mounds of our feet come together. If it feels right for you, you can hold on to your ankles. You can wrap your hands around the top of your feet. And we're going to adjust. We can decide if we want the heels closer to the pelvic floor or if we want to push the heels away. And if you try that out, you can see for yourself what feels better on the pelvic rim. And so as we're in a adducting pose, we'll allow ourselves to round through the spine, and we'll draw the chin towards the chest, maybe bringing the elbows to the calves. And depending on your flexibility, you can also bring your forearms down to the earth. Maybe chin comes towards the chest and the forehead rests on the tops of the feet. And if you're finding it difficult here for yourself to come in a full forward bend, maybe bringing a prop like a round bolster to the tops of your thighs as you fold over it. And we'll let ourselves truly release. We want our practice to be a passive practice, but the muscles are definitely working to release. And when we work on our hips, they always say that the issues in life are stored in the tissues. So if you know that to be true for yourself, after some hip opening poses, you might have a release of some kind. And as we come into that forward fold, the chin can come towards the chest and we can continue to create that roundness to the spine. And if your forehead is close, you can stack your fists and rest your forehead onto your fists. You can also bring your forehead to the feet. And we'll send the breath to the areas of that body that resist us here in our bound angle, our butterfly pose, as we call it in Yin. And at any point in your practice, you can make any adjustments to your physical posture. So if you're noticing as you hold our bound angle that there is discomfort in the hips, maybe moving those heels forward so that you honor your body, practicing within 2 finger lengths of your maximum capacity. And so we want to start by safely coming into the pose and allowing ourselves to stay for adequate time. And while Yin is very different than our Yang, our more active poses, our Yin poses still leave us feeling a sense that we've done something. So as it is recommended, coming into that forward fold, giving yourself permission to pause the video if you'd like to stay longer, and maybe staying anywhere between 2 and 5 minutes before switching to your next posture. So we come into the pose at the appropriate length or depth for our own body. And we hold it for a set amount of time. And dealing with the complexities of our mind, sometimes the mind begins to wander and thinks about other things, including when is this going to be over? But allowing yourself to observe as though you're an outsider looking in, watching those thoughts. Or perhaps create the visualization in your mind's eye with me today of lying on your back in the grass with your arms supporting your head, watching the clouds pass in the sky. And we can do the same thing with our thoughts. Sometimes our thoughts say, I would love for you to come out of this pose because I don't want to stay here very much longer. I've got a lot of things to do. What about the grocery shopping? All the things, right? And so for today's practice, using our mindfulness skills to just observe, to bring ourselves back to the present moment. In this posture and to our breath. When you're ready to come out, allowing yourself to come out of the posture safely, perhaps bringing your hands to your knees and gently rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae and sitting tall on your spine. And taking a moment to allow the prana, or in yin, the chi, to settle within the body before moving on to the next posture. And oftentimes in a yin class, we offer a counter pose to manage the tension of staying in a pose for so long. So setting yourself up now where you're facing the front of your mat. And if you still choose to sit on your blanket, you can. But we'll plant the hands down next to the hips, and we'll let the legs come into windshield wiper legs, linking movement with breath, moving from one side to the other. And when you feel as though you're ready to move on to the next posture, we're going to allow ourselves to sit back onto our blanket or our bolster, and we'll bring the ankle bones together, sitting tall on the spine, and pressing down into the root of the pelvis and reaching the arms up. Let the hands come alongside, the arms come alongside the ears, and begin to fold forward from your hips. As you fold forward from your hips, you're going to create a roundness to your back and your spine. And if you're noticing that it is difficult to relax the backs of the knees, perhaps acknowledging tight hamstrings in the body. And so perhaps if you are on the carpet or feel like you can slide, we can bring the torso to the tops of the thighs and slowly heel toe the feet out, making that connection between the torso and the tops of the thighs. Letting your hands fall wherever you feel comfortable. And as you create that roundness to your spine, the chin can come towards the chest, and the forehead can come down towards the shin bones or the knees. And as you allow yourself to stay and grow quieter, you can connect to the sounds of your breath, releasing the toes versus flexing them. And maybe allowing your forehead to come close to your knees. And we'll breathe into the back of the body, breathing into the kidneys and the backs of the lungs. And we'll give ourselves the cue to release any tension, any tightness or holding. And as we deal with the complexities of the mind, releasing any fears or any doubts, and just focusing on the in-breath and the out-breath. feeling the temperature of the air in both nostrils. And we work to find that coolest point on the inhale and the warmest point on the exhale. Surrendering and letting go. Sometimes the idea of surrender makes us feel like we're giving up our power. But in this moment, it is a conscious decision to release holding that may be hurting your body. Practicing ahimsa, non-hurting in thought, word, and action. And you can pause the video here if you'd like to stay longer, maybe anywhere between 5 and 7 minutes. And if you'd like to stay a little bit longer, that's fine too. But if you'd like to continue on, you can bring your hands underneath your shoulders and slowly roll up. And we'll let ourselves bounce the backs of the legs so that we can release them from staying for long periods of time. Now we're going to make our way into downward facing dog onto our mat. And I'm going to bring and recommend that you do so too, a blanket, so that when we come into our next pose, which is our sleeping swan or pigeon, that we have the ability to drop our hips down to our particular blanket setup here. So as you come onto all fours, you can roll through a few rounds of cat and cow, rounding the chin towards the chest. And slowly pressing the shin bones down into the earth, arching the spine, lifting the head, looking up at the space between your eyebrows. And for our final practice, we'll come into our sleeping swan from down dog. So tuck the toes under and keep the knees deep and bent, letting the upper arms run parallel to the ears, and then slowly straighten through your legs. Good. We want to feel the triceps rotating backwards towards the shin bones and feeling the biceps rotating forward. When you're ready, inhale, reach your right leg high to the sky for a three-legged dog and draw the knee into the chest. As you round through your spine, we're going to bend that right knee and bring that right leg almost as though we're coming into a lunge, but we're going to bend at that right knee and bring the right knee behind the right wrist and the right ankle behind the left. Walk your hands forward and begin to heel toe the left leg behind you. We're going to square the hips now. And you may want to roll your blanket directly underneath your right hip, but I'm going to keep mine onto the top of the left quad. And so as we continue to square the hips, we're going to curl the back toes under and press out actively through that left heel. And so if you're noticing that your rear left leg is rotating outward, keep those toes tucked under so that you can bring it into a neutral position. Lift the thigh to adjust your hips. And so if you're practicing more of an Anusara style, you should have your foot parallel to the front edge of your mat. You can come down to your forearms, and if you're coming into full sleeping swan, you can come all the way down to your torso. And choosing the options that feel right for you. You can also stay elevated onto your elbows or bring a block underneath your torso and let yourself come into your fold. You can begin to relax the top of that left foot. And we're going to feel all 5 toenails of the left foot pressing down into the earth. I like to draw the elbows back isometrically to lengthen through the torso. Our pigeon pose is such a beautiful pose. It is our preparation to build our mermaid or mer person. It is a beautiful hip opener and a forward bending stretch. We start to stretch the thigh and the groin in Pigeon, the piriformis muscle, also the psoas. I'd like you to imagine the left hip moving forward and the right hip moving back, making subtle adjustments as you need, and surrender into the posture. When you're ready to come out of the pose, you can, and we'll return to downward facing dog. Staying here for anywhere between 2, 5, 7 minutes, whatever feels right in your practice. We'll bring the hands underneath the shoulders, tucking the back toes under, lifting the quad off the earth, and returning to downward facing dog. And so you can walk your dog out here. If it feels good for you to move through a few flows, you can. And then we're going to come over to the other side. So taking a half a step in, heels are touching the earth. Remembering your triceps are rotating back. We're going to bring the right foot to the center of the mat and slowly lift the left. Begin to draw the knee into the chest, rounding through the spine, and begin to drop the left foot behind the right wrist and the left knee behind the left wrist. Heel toeing that right leg all the way behind you to get some length here. We're going to square the hips to the front edge of the mat. Then once you drop that right knee down towards the earth, you can bring the toes down to the mat as well. It may feel better for you to keep the right toes tucked under. And again, the right back leg should be in a neutral position rather than having it be rotated inward. And if it is, lift the quad off the earth and drop it back down, bringing your forearms down to the mat. So you can pause your video here and stay for another 2 to 5 minutes. You can extend your arms out in front and drop your torso down as well. If pigeon pose tends to be too much of a stretch for you, you can take this into a reclined variation, reclined pigeon. So come down to your back if you would prefer a different version here, and begin to cross your right ankle above that left knee. We're going to flex through both feet and we're going to clasp the hands behind the left thigh. Go ahead and use your right elbow to resist the right knee and draw that left knee into your chest. Relaxing the shoulders, maybe circling through the ankle, and noticing the difference on your hip if you approach pigeon or swan from a reclined variation. Staying the same amount of time on each side. This time now crossing that left ankle above the right knee and drawing the right knee in your chest, into your chest. Use your left elbow to resist. When you're ready to come out of it, go ahead and drop the sole of that right foot down to the earth, as well as the left, and let your tailbone tuck under and rest. We'll end our class today in Shavasana, or corpse pose, bringing the heels to the corner edges of the mat, and we'll create some length through the back of the head, and we'll rest the backs of the palms onto the earth. We'll allow the eyes to soften, and we'll move through a progressive relaxation. Allowing yourself to allow the breath to slow and become steady. Relax the skin on the forehead. Letting your eyes rest gently into your eye sockets, and slowly allow your lips to part. Letting your jaw rock from left to right, and then again from right to left. Tensing and releasing all of the muscles of your face. Dropping the shoulders, and slowly begin to curl your fingertips inward. letting the arms take shape of a downward facing V, and relaxing the upper arms and the elbows. You can tense and relax your arms if that feels better for you. And we'll release tension and holding in the heart and chest and lungs. Releasing the abdomen and the reproductive organs. Tensing and releasing your glutes. Tensing and relaxing the tops of the thighs and the backs of the knees. Tensing through your calves, pointing and flexing your toes. Taking a deep breath in and an audible exhale out of your nose or mouth. When you're ready to come out of your relaxation, slowly begin to bend through your knees and feel the soles of their feet connecting to the earth. Tuck the tailbone under and release the arms, let them come overhead. Maybe pressing down into the feet and lifting the hips, and then lowering back down vertebrae by vertebrae. We'll let the whole body roll into a small ball by drawing the knees to the chest and letting the head, neck, and shoulders lift off the mat. Lowering the head, neck, and shoulders down and slowly roll off to your left side. Shift your hips to the right and then drop your knees all the way to the left. Letting yourself lie in a nice side lying pose. We'll press our top palm down into the earth and let ourselves return to the beginning, sitting tall on our spine. Our practice today is a little bit over 25 minutes. 3 poses, and some centering breath work. Thinking about building upon this practice so that when you come back to your practice, you can make it accessible to you. Bring your hands to your heart, and from the deepest caves of mine to yours, namaste. Thank you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'm Tracy Seuss Walker from Nurture Yoga. Have a great day.